So when I was 21 years old, I was in an ATV accident, which left me paralyzed. And I can remember just being thrown from my place of comfort and not being able to control my own life. I was so angry at God. And then, a ways after that, I just started to harbor resentment and anger towards the guy that caused the accident. And it got to be so bad, I was thinking of ways that I could bring as much pain to his life as I felt he had done to mine. I was never going to forgive him. And then 5 years after that, I ended up getting married. And as selfish as I was at the time, I know I could never married anybody with a disability. So for the first couple years of my life, I just didn't understand why Lindsay chose me. And so I was always fighting them thoughts of, oh, it's only going to be a little while longer before we're divorced. And then, a little bit while after that, we had our first kid. And then I fought with the discontentment of, I was just the feeling that I was never going to measure up as a father because I didn't have the physical ability to go out and play or even pick him up when he was hurt. So it's been a mental game for sure. Well, so I look back to the birth of my kids, and that definitely opened my eyes to there was somebody bigger out there. And then, thank God, I married a believer. For the first couple years of our marriage, Lindsay would go to church, and she'd invite me, and I would always turn her down. But I can always remember questioning her about church when she got back. And it was never about church. It was always about God. And she always had a light in her eyes. So after a while of questioning, I decided to give church a try. And I had in my head what I was expecting to be because I'd been in church, in the past. But through your sermon, God spoke specifically to me and was just hitting in all the areas that I was been suffering in for so long. It was just such a different experience. I felt God's desire for wanting me, and then through the church, God has placed so many people in my path that have helped me to walk with Christ. I don't know, just helped me build me up as a Christian, and just all the things I've learned through them guys. They've shown me to be a better example to others in my life, and the best has been helping show my kids how to walk with Christ. And so in 2011, made a public declaration, in front of our friends to get baptized. And I think back to that time when I was united through faith with Christ, and I haven't felt a day of being alone. So one of the good feelings that I have after accepting Christ is that I don't fear death anymore. Whereas before, I thought I was in control of my life, and I just feared death, basically God, for all the wrong reasons. And after becoming a Christ follower, I've come to realize that my accident wasn't a burden on my life, but a blessing in disguise, and that God knew what he was doing all along. I look back on my life as it's been a Monopoly game, and God has been making all the right moves. An example that would be the electrical industry that I used to work in. I was paralyzed a day before joining the apprenticeship, and so I never thought that I'd get back in that industry ever again. And 10 years later, I've got a job as a system operator, so now I control the electrical grid from inside rather than building it and maintaining it outside in the elements. Now my job's a 5-minute drive rather than a 5-state drive. Now, if I had the ability to go back and choose that day, the accident or the path I was going down, I would choose my accident every time. I know I wouldn't have found Christ otherwise. And being able to find Christ and live out the fruits of the Holy Spirit, has been such a weight lifted off my shoulder. I've been able to transform since I've had God in my life, and with that, I've been able to go back and forgive the guy that caused my disability. And that has been just amazing.